274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th?
No.
I think the total number of persons
Kash Patel just brought some enhanced understanding to that. They were sent there to do crowd control because of everything that was going on. It wasn't a false flag operation, as President Trump suggested.
All right, let's finish the day with this. Let's talk one more time about the liar, the fake Christian, MAGA Mike Johnson, who went on yesterday, CNN, and just lied to advance the agenda of Donald Trump. A liar. And it seems to me, look, I'm no theologian, I'm no expert in the scriptures, but it seems to me from my many years in church, in my childhood, that lying was not recommended in the Bible, right? Like maybe it wasn't a total ban on lying, although that seems familiar too. I mean, they do, after all, call them the 10 Commandments, even though that's not a literal translation. I think they're, the 10 suggestions. Maybe that's how MAGA Mike thinks of it. But here he is lying. Let me give you some background on it. The other day, Kash Patel said that 274 FBI agents were embedded in the crowd, trying to make out like it was a false flag, that all of the rioters, all of the insurrectionists, all of the people who were guilty of seditious conspiracy against the United States, that they were entrapped by these FBI agents. He had to walk that back, and that's what this Fox News headline that I'm getting to read you is walking it back and saying, oh, no, they weren't there to whip up the crowd. They were there for riot control purposes. Here's the headline from Fox News, so no conservative can act like, oh, that's just CNN, it's fake news NBC. Fox News says, FBI's Patel clarifies role of hundreds of agents on January 6th, says Wray lied to Congress. Current FBI Director Kash Patel, never get used to that sentence. Current FBI Director Kash Patel said the agents were sent to the U.S. Capitol for crowd control after it had been declared a riot. Quote, agents were sent into a crowd control mission after the riot was declared by Metro Police, something that goes against FBI standards. It's against FBI standards when there's an absence of the National Guard because Donald Trump refused to call them in, while a crowd, an unruly armed mob of white supremacists are chanting, hang Mike Pence, hang and murder the Vice President of the United States of America. It's not in the purview of the FBI to go in and do some crowd control. Gotcha. Fantastic FBI Director Kash Patel. He added, thanks to the agents coming forward, we are now uncovering the truth. We are fully committed to transparency and justice, and accountability continues with this FBI. There's no indication any FBI agents were involved in any events related to Trump's speech on the morning of January 6th at the Ellipse, an FBI official told Fox News Digital, adding that Wray should have disclosed that agents were there when he was asked by congressional leaders. So that's where we are. These individuals were not there to whip up the crowd. They were not there for entrapment. They were there for crowd control. Yet, this, by the way, September 27th, that's 2 days ago, 1 day ago, after this information came out, Mike Johnson's talking to Jake Tapper, and he uses this figure to try to continue the conspiracy theory that it wasn't actually an insurrection. It was some kind of an Alex Jones water turning the frogs gay false flag operation. Yeah. Watch this from Mike Johnson and Jake Tapper, and then we will talk about the lies and the subterfuge and the distraction politics and the worshipful attitude of Mike Johnson of Donald Trump on the other side.
And they have to hold people accountable. We have to ensure that the rule of law applies to everyone. And that's exactly what's happening here.
Does the rule of law have to apply to people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. There's new information over the last couple of days about that as well. Apparently, there were 274 FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th.
No.
I think the total number of persons
Kash Patel just brought some enhanced understanding to that. They were sent there to do crowd control because of everything that was going on. It wasn't a false flag operation, as President Trump suggested.
Well, Jake, wait a minute. Hold on, Jake. How do you know that, right? There's a lot
just going
of
by what
questions,
Kash Patel
brand
said.
new questions about, well, and I'm telling you that there's videos and it's always been disputed what involvement some of those persons, engaged in, what involvement they had. Did they spur on the crowd? Did they open the gates to allow them in? I don't know. These are questions, but they should be answered. And yes, there's a lot of investigation and discovery to go forward. We have a select subcommittee, bipartisan, a committee that is reviewing the investigation of the original J6 committee. I mean, a committee investigating the previous committee. Why? Because there was so much bias in the system. And that committee was rigged, I think. And I think my theory is, I've always believed that they got rid of evidence and they hid some of this. So all of it's going to come out. The American people deserve full transparency.
Full transparency,
and that's what
100%.
Congress is working on, and that's what the administration is working on.
I'm always in favor of full transparency, including, including for the Epstein files, which that will probably come on the floor of the House.
Me too.
Soon, and we'll have lots of discussions about that. Speaker Johnson, always good to have you here. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Jake. I'm so glad you brought that up. It gives me an opportunity to lie. It gives me a wonderful opportunity to talk about the 274 agents and say a thing that is not true. The Christian. You know what this is about? This is about the Republican Party assisting Donald Trump, joining in a conspiracy against the country, joining in a conspiracy one with another against history itself. And it's not just me who's been screaming this for years, although it is me who's been screaming it for years. It's also Donald Trump's own White House counsel, not the official White House counsel, but worked in the White House counsel's office, Ty Cobb. He said this on Face the Nation yesterday, not about this particularly, but just in general, as an umbrella understanding and analysis of what's taking place, that Donald Trump is trying to rewrite history so future generations of young people won't know the treachery, the sinister actions of this traitor to the country and what he did. Watch Ty Cobb.
Well, I think if you go to 30,000 feet, what you see is a lot of moving parts, but simple themes. The simple themes are rewriting history. Trump wants to rewrite history so that the next generation may not know that he incited a violent insurrection, refused to peacefully transfer the power of the presidency after losing an election, stole classified documents and showed them to friends and guests at Mar-a-Lago, and that he was a criminal. I mean, he's a convicted felon. Anybody involved in those events that offended him, they're in real danger. So you have the rewriting history stuff. The U.S. attorney that he appointed as personal lawyer, Lindsay Halligan. Her role previously in the administration was trying to eliminate the theory that America had slaves at the Smithsonian. She was there to whitewash the Smithsonian and paint America as something that it isn't. I mean, America needs to learn from the mistakes and lessons that we've had, and one of the biggest mistakes that America ever had was re-electing President Trump.
And one of the biggest mistakes that America has ever made was re-electing Donald Trump. Says the man who knows Donald Trump very well, who nailed it, who's repeating the analysis of people like me in this space, on Facebook, on YouTube. It's undeniable. It's unassailable logic. We have seen time and time again Donald Trump repeat the biggest lies possible over and over and over, with hopes that people start believing them. And largely, in MAGA world, certainly, the cult, the dear leader can do no wrong. They're selling hats. Trump was right about everything, when Trump is wrong about literally just about everything. There's very little that Donald Trump is right about. Because we know the chronicling, the counting, the logging of all of the tens of thousands of lies. It's now just become oxygen for him. It's just a second language to him. which is good that it's nice to have a president that's bilingual. It's just unfortunate that his second language is lying out of his fat fucking face. What do you think? I invite you to this very respectful conversation about the president. Before you do, though, make sure you're subscribed. If you like the way I deliver my analysis and my commentary, my reporting on the news, I would appreciate it. Look, I know I'm not for everybody. I should say this more often. I know that I'm not for everybody. If you're still here, it means maybe I am for you. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It would help us get to 1.5 million subscribers by the end of the year, and I would appreciate that very much. You can also help us get to 21,000 likes and follows on the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. That would be great. And you can call and leave me a brief voicemail. Please keep them brief. I mean, if it goes over 3 minutes, Google will cut you off. 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. If you're still up for helping produce this work, helping support independent media, please do. You can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. Or as an alternative, not quite as good a decision, not quite as good for the channel, but you become a channel member on YouTube by clicking the join button on the channel or below the video. I would appreciate that very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.